All right, everybody. Hey, it's Dr. Adam Sewell here, and today we're going to be reviewing the only 3 ways to grow your practice. This is really critical because, a lot of people can get easily overwhelmed when you're thinking of all the things you have to do, all the medical things you have to do, all the documentation you have to do, and all the business things you have to do. It is good to know there's only 3 ways in which you can grow your practice. We're going to review those right now. So the 3 ways to grow your practice is to increase the number of new patients into your clinic, to increase the amount of services and products they buy, and then to increase the number of visits or interactions that you have. So I know it may seem overwhelming to think about all the things you could do to bring new customers in, or bring, to increase the amount of transactions that you have with your patients, etc. But realize there's only 3 ways, and these are kind of broad categories. But if you ever stop and think about it, these are the only 3 ways in which you can really grow your business. You can increase the number of people coming in. You can increase the amount of stuff that they're buying each time, also known as transaction size. Or you can increase the number of times they come in to see you, whether that's in person or virtual or through the internet. But these are the only 3 ways that you can grow your practice. Now let's go ahead and look into each one of these. And we're going to do so in reverse order. So starting with number 3, increase the number of visits they have with you, or number of interactions they have. And remember, this can be in person, but this can also be virtual or through a website as well. So there's 4 ways to increase the number of visits you have with your customers. Number 1, you can have some kind of program that encourages it. What we've seen work really, really well in the aesthetics community is to have some kind of continuity program, meaning a program that's like a monthly fee. This is commonly done with what's known as a bank program. It's really, really popular, and it's really hot right now if you can do such a thing, which we have solutions for you and blueprints for you if you need it. But to basically build a bank program for your aesthetics practice. And what that means is that you would have some kind of program where people would get charged every month, and then they would put that money into an account they have with your company, and only your company, to get aesthetic services and products. So for example, many of the women who get aesthetics, sometimes they're straightforward with their spouse, sometimes they're not. Sometimes they feel guilty about buying something for themselves. There's all sorts of emotions wrapped around this. And if you've been in the aesthetic space long enough, you've come to realize this. It is very, very common and very easy for people to accept a $250 a month charge to their credit card as a subscription program. And then that money would accumulate at your med spa or at your aesthetics practice. And then when they come back in, they have this money built in as a like a currency to get services with you, to get skincare with you, to get different products with you. So having a bank program is very, very popular. The other thing that we often see is a VIP program, and you can mix and match these. But having some kind of program where the more stuff your customers buy from you, the more they're rewarded, the more they're honored, the better they're treated, the more freebies they get, the more exclusive things they get. And many times people are willing to pay for this. Many times people are willing to pay to be a VIP. Number 2 is holiday and birthday offers. This sounds so simple, but this is commonly one of the most missed things ever. Most of the time, if you've done a good H&P on one of your patients, you have their birth date. You know their birth date. You should, at the very minimum, at least send them a birthday card. That's very easy to do. It's an automated system. If you don't have something in place, please reach out to us. We have systems that you can install in your business right away that will at least send a birthday reminder or birthday wishes to somebody that, send it to all of your patients. It's very easy to do, and it really makes a big difference, and people really feel you care about them in that way. But you can also have things like holidays and birthday offers where, hey, we know this is your birthday this month, you get 20% off of whatever, You can also have events where, hey, it's the President's Day, whatever. These little things, people are happy to spend money, but they have to have a reason to do so. They want to feel that there's a reason that they're doing this, or that there's a special opportunity or a special time. And if you've ever purchased anything yourself, then you realize that the same thing works on you. If I get an ad that says, hey, this computer is available, that's great. But if I get an ad that says, hey, a computer is available and it's President's Day, so it's 20% off and it ends on Tuesday or something, I'm more likely to respond to that because now it has a reason for why it's important. It has scarcity in the sense that, hey, this is a limited time kind of thing. It draws more attention and focus. So having these programs like this, they don't have to be, immensely creative. They just have to give somebody a reason to take action, to want to work with you. And then finally, follow up for low ticket services. Like a lot of times people forget that just because someone comes in and maybe they get Botox and dermal fillers, that same customer is likely to get other services in the same arena. We have a saying in marketing that says a buyer is a buyer is a buyer. And while it sounds really tried and easy, it's really important to realize that what that really means is that somebody who buys something likely buys other things in that same niche. So, for example, if you buy dog food because you have a dog, you are likely to buy dog treats. You're likely to buy pet leashes. You're likely to buy, whatever is associated with a dog, a crate or whatever. You're likely to buy dog toys. You see, because you're a buyer of one thing, you're likely a buyer of all the things in that arena. And it's the same thing for aesthetics practices and med spa. So in other words, if someone's willing to get dermal fillers and PRP and Botox, chances are they also like to have facials. They also like to have other things like this. Figure out a way that you can make a program where you can have people follow up for these other low ticket services that they're likely getting somewhere else, but could get through your practice or could be done at your practice by someone else. So for example, if you know someone who offers an esthetician who offers facials, you could make a deal where every Thursday they're in your clinic and you could make some kind of program where people could come every Thursday to get a facial. And during that time, you also do an assessment for them. Because by the time you increase those number of visits, they're more likely to buy more products from you. You're also building a better relationship. And then this is commonly overlooked and very, very easy to do, is virtual follow-ups. So often people forget that when someone becomes a customer, that doesn't mean that it's time to cut off communication with them. And I kind of see this a lot where people work so hard to get somebody in the door and make them, get them to be a customer. And once they're a customer, it's like almost all the communication stops. The reality is that you want to really work that relationship with that customer and be like their, guiding person to them in the world of aesthetics. So, by doing virtual follow-ups with them, just check on them every month, whatever it takes. You or one of your staff can just simply call them, can do a Zoom with them, can do whatever, and just check on them and see how they're doing. Just these common visits and the common interactions, if you watch your numbers, you will see that it will increase your sales directly. The more interactions you have with people in general, the more sales that you'll make, the faster you'll grow your business. All right, number 2, increase the amount of services and products they buy. So one of the things that people forget is that the amount of time that people come to your clinic is really important, but also the amount of products and services they buy at once is really critical. Just to give you an example, if you have Med Spa A that is able to see people, and on average, each person that walks through the door is worth $700 to Med Spa A, that would be a typical med spa, and that would be a typical average value of a customer for med spa. Med Spa B has the same number of people that walk through the door, maybe even less, but their average person is worth $15,000 because they do things in such a way that they present an entire year's worth of treatment all at once, and they're able to sell that to that patient. So you can see that the transaction size of when that person is in that med spa makes a totally different business picture for that med spa. And so I don't want you to get too focused on like the business language or lingo. And if I'm using words that you're not familiar with, it's okay. Just hang in there. These concepts are extremely simple and they're extremely powerful. The thing is that you need to understand the concepts, and then from those concepts, we'll be able to do more. So just remember that in addition to getting people to come into your practice more regularly, as we saw in number 3, for number 2, we know that if we can increase the amount of services and products they buy, that will directly affect how much the med spa can grow. So number 1 thing to know is there's a process called an upsell. During this time, you may hear me use the word sell. Some people have a negative connotation of sales. I think sales is a very positive feature, and I think that to sell somebody correctly and ethically, you basically have to be doing them a benefit or a service, or it doesn't work. Some people think of sales and they think of like a used car salesman who's trying to trick you or whatever. In general, what I've found is that tricking people never works. People are smarter than you think. And that, you basically need to be honest, straightforward, and offer them value to sell them things. And so when I say upsell, it would only be an upsell in an ethical situation. But say, for example, you have somebody who comes into your practice for treatment X. Well, while they're there, if treatment Y can also help them achieve their goal better, or can be an add-on to treatment X, you should at the very minimum at least mention it to them because it's in their interest. So here's some other examples for it. For example, Botox with an upsell to dermal fillers. This is commonly done all the time. People come in and think they want Botox. They don't realize that some of the wrinkles they have is not just from dynamic or static lines, but is also due to volume loss, from bone loss, from aging, etc. And so they don't realize that dermal fillers could also help them, or could perhaps help them better than Botox. Just that education is an example of an upsell. Another upsell would be people that come in for dermal fillers, and you tell them about another treatment that may also help them, perhaps longer term, like old therapy, or perhaps even PDO threading. These are both upsells that cost more, usually, than a dermal filler, but they both have a complementary action that can help. So you can do dermal fillers, and then in certain areas, maybe you do threads to increase the collagen growth. There's 1,000 different possibilities. But the idea is that you have people coming in and you have a predefined process where you offer them a complementary product that helps them achieve their goal. And it needs to be ethical. Like, you're not going to recommend something that doesn't really apply, Just so you know, a rough estimate is that 10 to 15% of the people that you offer an upsell will purchase it. And this number has been derived from multiple industries in different markets. So it's not just aesthetics. It's not just healthcare. It's not just, medicine. There are other industries like, for example, healthcare services, hospital services, gym services, floral services have all shown this kind of amount where you can roughly estimate that about 10 to 15% of the people that are coming through your practice on a daily basis will say yes to an upsell if offered correctly, and it is complementary to what their goal is. Which means that there's a lot of opportunity there just to increase your business immediately from the people that are already coming to you. All right, well, let's talk about subscriptions. Subscriptions are basically a model where you can pay a smaller amount regularly for a product or service. Basically, in subscriptions, what you want to do is you want to find some kind of service or thing that you can use that you can regularly bill the patient for and send to them until they cancel. So kind of the best subscription model in aesthetics usually involves some kind of skincare with a recurring or automated product delivery. So, ideally somebody would come in maybe for a treatment. You'd also mention a skincare routine. They would like to use it. They buy some skincare, and you have them on a recurring system where they're going to continue to get that skincare every month until they cancel or they need something different. These subscription models are very, very powerful. And for a lot of customers, assuming that you did a great job of, teaching them about skincare and you found the right products, they're extremely useful for patients and customers as well, because it's one less thing they have to worry about. This is why, Amazon has a whole area of subscription, just because it helps them as a business grow. But also, people just want things to be subscribed. Like, why have to think about ordering, toilet paper every month or whatever, when you can just put it on subscription with Amazon and not worry about it, You want to do the same thing for your practice. You want to make it easy for people to do business with you. So if you want to increase the number of products a patient purchases during an encounter, there's one way that you can do that. In addition to what we already talked about, it's the nurture process. Just again, a reminder, if you haven't watched the other video, that basically, sorry, I got an issue. So basically, if you want to increase the number of products that you sell or a patient uses or purchases when they're with you, you may consider using the nurture process. We kind of talked about it already in another video, but the nurture process is really critical because remember that at any given time, the people that you're seeing, whether they're already coming to you for dermal fillers or for Botox or something else, they themselves are also in the market for other products and services. Remember that a buyer is a buyer is a buyer phrase we talked about earlier. So we know that at any time that somebody is coming into your office for, let's say, Botox, we know that there's a chance that they're also somebody who's interested in old therapy, or a chance that they're interested in PRP or whatever. Basically, at any given market, remember, only 3% are ready to buy now. However, there's another 37% that is very interested and will likely buy from you if they have more information and follow-up. And so what that means is that just by having people come through your practice and you providing education on other products and services, and then using a system that will give them information, on their own, ideally like through email or through text message, could give them information about other products and services, then what you can do is you can press a button and let that happen, and that will make that person eventually become a customer for that. So you should always be thinking about how you can educate your customers, because as you educate them and provide them value, then they will actually buy more stuff from you as well. So if you nurture existing customers, it also makes the existing customer more informed and educated. And not only will they buy more from you, but you're going to find that your life is a lot easier. And what I mean by that is, how many times during the day do you feel like you say the same thing like over and over? For most of us, it's a lot. You interact with a lot of different patients. Many times they have similar conditions you're trying to treat. You're saying the same thing over and over. At some point, you could probably close your eyes and just recite it by memory because you've done it so many times. But if you start to put that education into a system where you could record it once and then let that system educate that patient, then what happens is that patient comes back to you. They're already educated. They've already had that talk with you. They understand what you normally say. And so when they come in, there's less talking to do. There's less, questions and answers. They're pretty much just like, hey, I've watched your stuff. I understand what's going on. I have one last question. Okay, thank you. I'm ready to go. And you'll see that your life becomes so much easier. It's easier to book people. There's less questions before procedure. And while I don't personally mind talking to patients or answering questions, what happens is that a lot of those questions can delay your day and you can kind of get behind in the patients. So by having an existing nurturing process, it basically will educate them for you before they ever even show up and interact with you, which saves you time and allows you to focus your effort on something else. And finally, the most important, definitely not the least, is number one, how to get new patients or increase your new patients. There's another video we made. It's connected to this one called 5 Pillars of Aesthetic Practice. These are the 5 pillars of the aesthetic practice. We detailed that in the video and what they mean and how to do them. But 3 of those pillars are basically focused on getting more new patients. We have an entire training dedicated to this for you. And I want to just mention, this is really important that you do this training because getting new patients really is the most important skill needed to thrive in private practice of any kind, but especially aesthetics. Because aesthetics is cash-based, you have to be able to get new patients in the door because over time, you need to have kind of stability and the ability for you to bring in people that want to see you on command. If you can generate that skill, then your business life becomes easier, your personal life becomes easier because you know that you can always have new patients coming in, so you can predict how much money is going to be come in, and then that will allow you to pay your staff, etc. And things actually get better and better from there. So here's what I want you to do next. There's another training called the 4 Easy Ways to Increase New Patients Without Hiring More Staff or Discounting Your Prices. I'd like for you to go watch that video because it's really a really important skill. In addition to everything we talked about today, I would still focus on that one training first because once you're able to get the new patients, then you apply this training to that and you'll make a lot more money. You'll be able to serve your patients at a higher level. You'll be able to grow your practice more and you'll have a better life. So why do we want to do that? Because when you watch that training, it's going to open up channels for new patients to flow into your business. And once you have these channels flowing into your business, your life also gets easier because you can easily point people to a channel and then have that channel do the work of talking to them, educating them, and making them your customer. And it allows an entry point into your business where they feel comfortable entering and you feel comfortable receiving. And so just imagine if we were trying to force all this water through that ground without these channels, it'd be very difficult. We wouldn't go very far. However, if we have these channels built out, it makes it so easy to move that water, and that's what we want. We want you to have flows of patients into your practice and make your life better. So that's it. Remember to go watch the next video, which is the 4 ways to increase new patients without hiring more staff or discounting prices. This is Dr. Adam Sewell signing off.